Recorded in Atlanta, the 404 Live with Torrence Ford and James Walker. Produced by the Planet Arts.
I always tell my daughter, act like you're broke every day and you'll never be broke.
I like that, James.
Act like you're broke every day and you'll never be broke.
That's real.
Do not get a spirit of complacency is nowhere to be found in your day-to-day hustle. You're never satisfied, always humble, and always looking to do the next great thing, to build wealth, to build a legacy. When you're not here, what are they gonna say about you? How did you help people?
Hey there, how's it going? Torrence Ford here, and
James
thank
Walker.
you, James, for joining me on and partnering with us on this podcast. I'm super excited. I feel like we have a lot that we could talk about, man, and share with everybody.
Definitely.
Not only in Atlanta, but just around the country on what, our experience and our perspective on life. And I just appreciate you, man.
My pleasure, man. Honored to be here.
Let's go.
Let's share. What you want to know?
Well, first, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of who you are so the people know, and I'll do the same. I'll let you go first.
Torrence, just one thing. I don't like talking about myself, but I guess I got to. People don't know I could be a Joe Blow out on the streets. Like I said, my name is James Walker. I'm from Atlanta, born and raised in the Swats, A-Town down. Went to Morehouse College. From there, I went to Georgia State Law School and started practicing law. I've been doing real estate now for about 25 years. I guess I'm dating myself. And I know I've worked for the big firms, I've worked for the little firms, and I've worked for my firm, and that's where I am right now.
Elite Law, baby.
Yes.
Represent, and Morehouse just had homecoming, so
there we go. And
James is he's a little tired, y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
Homecoming, family reunion. That's what we call homecomings here. But yeah, so I've been doing this a while.
That's awesome.
Got my own firm. Have a good team of attorneys working for us. Satania Scott is my partner. She also went to FAM.
Yes.
HBCU, and she leaves to go down to her homecoming this weekend, which she's excited about doing. But yeah, we have a very good synergy here, and our passion is real estate, Torrence, and it's an area of law that not many people know about, and they're able to be easily duped, taken advantage of. So we like to. With what we do, we like to have an educational component as well to make sure people know what they're doing, but then know why they're doing it.
We love Satania.
Yeah.
We love her.
Yeah, so that's important to us to know the hows and the whys behind what we do.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're susceptible to these wolves out here.
Right.
In sheep's clothing. Definitely.
This is true.
Yeah. But like I said, I've been doing this a while. Been an instructor, teacher, I've been a judge. I do a lot of things in the community. I have an HOA property management company. So every aspect.
You've seen it all, man.
Yeah, God, man, I tell you that PTSD. Real estate is bad. Yeah, I've seen it all. And quite honestly, man, part of the challenge for me is just when you think you have, you see other things. There are always schemes and plots out here and things that people do to get more creative, to get over on people. And if they just use their creativity for good, use their powers for good,
so much more could happen. It's crazy for
come
you.
Off the dark side.
What you're saying, being on the attorney side.
Yep. Come off the dark side.
I'm on the residential real estate side. I own Remax Premier. We got about 40 agents, and I've been licensed 18 years now.
All right.
Got out of college, went straight into real estate. The age of 22, bought my house. So I've seen a lot.
Yep.
I've lost it all, and, and can tell that story. So I do think I'm looking forward to what we can do on this show and bringing other things to light with people.
Sure.
First thing I thought we should talk about and really enlighten the people on would be like how you think or how we think Atlanta's changed. I mean, it's changed. The landscape of Atlanta. What how would we kick that off? What would you say?
Man, when I think about how Atlanta's changed, it's like, oh my God, had I known. I grew up in Southwest Atlanta, when Greenbrier Mall was the biggest thing in town, working at Baskin Robbins and the record bar over there when Prince came to Greenbrier. I remember that. And, hustling. And
Prince came to Greenbrier Mall?
Prince came to Greenbrier Mall. Cool. The Time, Sheila E. Like I said, I'm dating myself.
It's
but
all
good. So, back then, I think that was the first Chick-fil-A was in Greenbrier Mall.
Okay.
And so I've seen it. So I'm giving you context there. So from there to where we are now is literally night and day.
Right.
I remember when going to Camp Creek was a long haul for us, and it's like literally 2 miles to Greenbrier. And then going to Decatur was like, oh my God, you might as well be in a whole other state going to Decatur. There was no such thing as traffic.
You could get everywhere in Atlanta in 20 minutes.
Everywhere in Atlanta,
25
literally
minutes.
in 20 minutes. Now you can get from one traffic light to the other in about 15 minutes, and it's just that bad. So the skylines changed, the landscapes changed, man. Property values skyrocketed. Every piece of green and brown land is being turned into condos, apartments, multifamily units. It's just a lot going on, man. And we are overcrowded.
Right.
And that's something that we have to deal with as a city. But, when you think about it, Atlanta always still feels like home for a lot of people. That's why
a lot of people moving here, James.
Why they come here?
Every Uber ride that I jump in, people are like, I just moved here 2 weeks ago and I'm figuring it out. It's like the new school LA, where people will go figure it out. And for the movie industry, people are figuring it out here for the entrepreneurial, world.
Everybody is. And I always say, if Atlanta had a beach, had a large body of water beach, oh man,
it'd be over.
I think it's somewhere close to 10 million people here now.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. Like, it's just off. I mean, it's good. It's a good problem to have, tax revenue, and it's a bad problem to have for traffic and expansion and the roads and all that. So it has pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I saw a study that said that on Atlanta Census Bureau that 1,063 people are moving here a day. And I was like, what?
How many?
1,063 a day.
Oh my God, you do that, man.
1,063 a day. That's some traffic.
That's crazy.
But ultimately, that's why I think Atlanta is spreading out. I'd never heard of Auburn, Georgia. I'd never heard of Winston, Georgia. I'd never heard of just some of the outskirts that are taking off right now.
And right now, if I'm being honest, that's where you want to look at, because, we are going to come out the seams in just a minute. It's just like, you try on your pants from college and you 40 years old, you can't fit them. You wonder why your butt's so big and it's about to pop. That's Atlanta. So, the Columbus, the Macons, the
Augusta.
Tiffins, Augusta,
right?
Those areas are prime targets for people to look at, because I was telling somebody the other day, when I ride down to LaGrange for a hearing or something,
right,
it's a peaceful drive. It may take me 45 minutes to get there. Hell, it takes me 45 minutes to get from here to Cumberland.
Right.
During a certain part of the day. So what? I mean, you figure that. And it's road rage. I'm traveling
the whole way.
And I'm cussing the whole way. I could be on a peaceful drive going down to LaGrange or Macon to do a bit, to do a deal, or go to my other office, or go to my cottage down there, and get there with no problem at all. So yeah, that's something to definitely look at as we move forward in our expansion here in the city.
Okay. Hey, and same here. I grew up swimming, and I used to go to Athens, UGA, to swim and compete and coach. And just as I got older, and we would get there in 40 minutes. Yep. Now it takes about an hour and 10 minutes to get there.
Exactly. So it is what it is. I'm sure other big cities are experiencing this problem, but we have to have an infrastructure that can support the growth, because we can't stop from coming.
Now, I was really happy to see the mayor put a moratorium on the Atlanta Medical Hospital that closed down, just to take a pause, take a moment, and let's not see another development happen.
Exactly.
But let's hear from the community and see what should actually be coming. So I can't wait to see what comes. What do you think will pop? I don't think I've seen redevelopment of hospitals.
I know, I think Grady is the only level 1 trauma center in the Southeast that we have, something like that. I mean, I could be wrong, but we have to really make sure with the city this large that we have our infrastructure, which includes hospitals, level 1 trauma centers for people. Because the more people you have, the more accidents you're going to have.
People are pissed off about that closing, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole other conversation right there. And why is it closing? Why?
What?
I mean, well, right around the corner, Fourth Ward, you have all the gentrification. You have these condos going up, starting at $800,000.
Right.
And that's a pretty big lot over there. That's right off the expressway. It's right down there where all the expansion's happening with the belt line.
The workers can't afford to. Also, I heard that the workers can't afford to live there. They can't afford rent in the area. So, in other cities, what they're doing is they're requiring the hospitals to give salaries or housing surpluses for people to live in there.
Agreed.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Agreed. And if we don't get a hold on it soon, Atlanta's not going to be filled with us. Us meaning our citizens, are the people who built Atlanta, the people who have a vested interest in Atlanta. It's being bought up by a lot of corporations that aren't even they're from a lot of different countries.
Right, I see it.
Okay,
left and right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and call it
what it is.
What it is. So that's not what we're trying to achieve here in Atlanta, to displace our citizens and our people where they can't afford to live anywhere but 60, 70 miles outside the city. So how does that
That's crazy.
work?
I was talking to a lady yesterday. She called on a rental property, and she was just telling me the history of how she grew up in East Point, and how in East Point and East Pert,
where I'm from.
everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
So I love my neighborhood. I grew up in Decatur. Graduated college, came back, lived in the city off Pryor Road, and I live in Smyrna. One thing we love about our neighborhood is community and how everybody knows each other.
Right.
And I tried my best to put myself back in that world where your neighbors know your kids, and they can. My neighbor can spank my child, and I don't care.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Well, let's go back to the word
You know what I'm
spanking.
saying?
They don't even spank anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said pinch.
That's a whole
Close the
other
garage,
issue.
you get the spanking.
Oh my God, that's a whole other issue. Yeah, Torrence, but you're right. We have to have.
Yeah.
We're losing our community feel, and it's starting to feel so rigid and corporate, and just where you have a lot of transplants here who have no vested interest in the city.
This is true.
They have no, they're not grounded in what made Atlanta, right? To have an appreciation for what we have to go through when we see our seniors not being afforded, they can't afford to live.
Right.
Our first responders can't live in the city, so it takes them longer to come in. We want those people to have, a very good chance and a good shot at living in the city, because they help protect the city and keep us going.
One of my builders, his name's Jamal Holland. He has a program the city of Atlanta hired him for, where it's to keep seniors in homes. So if the senior owns their home outright, the city would cut checks from $20,000 to $45,000 or so. Jamal would come in and remodel their home and update it for them. There came a point where I couldn't get him to do a renovation for me or my clients because he was working on this city program. I can't recall the name of it, but the city has offered a lot of really cool programs.
Yeah.
People just have to know about it. So I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, so that we can continue putting out great things. Because you and I know so much going on, but how do we get it to the people of the in Atlanta or around the country? And I think I have an onus to put out opportunities.
That's key. That's
you know
key.
What I'm saying for folks.
Listen, it doesn't matter if they don't know about it. The programs are out here, free money's out here, grants are out here, things that can help build our infrastructure is out here. But I think Torrence, to whom much is given, much is required.
Right.
And you and I both know certain avenues to things that can help people.
Oh, it's time to help some folks.
It is.
What other ways?
It is.
Beyond the traffic, beyond the city spreading out, I'm just excited to see the arts come back to be relived a little bit. I'm starting to see some art galleries that are popping back up. You were telling me about a friend of yours that has an art gallery.
Right.
That was exciting to hear.
Oh man, it was so good to hear. She is she's actually one of Satania's sorors.
Okay, cool.
And she's opening up her art gallery in the shops of Buckhead.
Yes.
And that's phenomenal.
That's rare right there.
Rare.
She's not just in Castleberry, y'all. She's
in Buckhead, and she's opening up her art gallery right across the street from that pub by the library.
Okay,
Buckhead,
cool.
Yeah. So we want to give her a shout out in her business. Hopefully, all will go well with that in the upcoming weeks and months.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say beyond that, I'm also gotten a chance to see how the school landscape has changed and how now in Atlanta there's so many more schools that are available. I have a child that goes to a special needs school, so once I started seeing test scores and psych evaluations, it really opened my eyes as to what is truly available here in Atlanta. And while at my school, I get a chance to see how families are driving 40 to 45 miles daily to go to those schools because they're great. My kid goes to the Cumberland Academy of Georgia, and it's one of the top 5 in the country. And we're excited that now he's got straight A's. That dude was failing everything. Man. So Atlanta's a great city. You just got to know where to go, and that's my job. Again, my onus with pulling you in to continue to tell people about great things.
Right, and then even in those good schools that we don't know about, a lot of us don't know about, they have grants, they have programs, they have scholarships available to our younger brothers and sisters out here who just don't know, how can I get my child into school?
Yeah, at the orientation, some of the faculty staff were literally begging for people to apply for the grants because if that money isn't used, it just goes away. They have to use it by the end of the year. Folks just have to know what questions to ask and at what tables. And I think life can happen for everybody.
And it's so important with education. Education provides access. So when you expose your child at an early age to a good education, a good community of parents and teachers, it opens up the world to them. And I'm here to tell you, my kids were blessed. They went to Trinity.
Oh, Trinity.
And we had a very good support staff that introduced us to that community. And then from there,
Trinity Christian School.
No.
Trinity Prep. Trinity.
It was the Trinity School. It's down on North Side.
Okay, I've driven by it.
Yeah, and they have a brand new school that they built maybe 10 years ago next to North Side High School.
Okay.
But it was at a church. I forgot, but it's right down there off North Side. But they were there, and just the exposure that they got to certain people and certain parents who went to that school, like the Fuquas, those kind of people, the Dawsons, people who were very influential in the city. They're exposed to them, and they have made lifelong bonds
because of the
exactly. And it's carrying. And this, my daughter, she's 27 now, son's 25, and they have those childhood friends that are now influencers themselves.
Oh wow! Okay.
And so they give back. My whole point is exposure
is everything.
We
got to get your kids to come on and talk. I love to chat with them.
I tell you, my daughter is just a natural. She's finishing up her last year at Columbia Business School.
Okay.
And
has she called you crying yet? Oh, is it tough?
Oh, it's always tough. But she's a trooper. We instilled that in her. So
that's it.
That's good. That's it.
Well, perfect, man. Well, I just wanted to get your perspective on what you think is going on in the city beyond the real estate, the schools, the landscape. There's one other probably topic of Atlanta I want to talk about, and that's kind of where you're thinking we're going with affordability in the city. There's one really unaffordable. So
that's where we're going.
I took a trip to Chicago, and a buddy of mine was explaining that in Chicago, the vacant condos or apartments, the vacant apartments of each building, the landlords had to pay taxes on those empty units unless they're filled. And I think that's a really good strategy to build a tax base in Atlanta and to force landlords to bring rents down on their vacancies.
But do you think it will ever happen though?
I'm just showcasing. Yeah. Would it ever happen? That's a good question. Will landlords show their true vacancies, like the parking lots at the airport that says 25 spaces available on floor 3?
Exactly. You know what? I really don't know. Right now, Atlanta, I was talking to somebody last night about trying to come here, and they simply said, I can't afford to.
Yeah.
Atlanta's on the pace to be like a New York, a California, to have the rental income to sustain the rent here is $2,300 for a 1-bedroom.
Right.
$2,500 soon. Rent goes up every 6 months. You have. What are you gonna do?
So I mean, from a real estate perspective, we talk about all the time. You know, if you're leasing a space, then you can partner with maybe pad split or peer space to lease your property out, and you can make money off of your property when you're not there. Not necessarily like Airbnb, but say you have someone come and they have a meeting in your family room for 6 hours. Well, you can make $1,200 on that. So.
Really?
It's to my knowledge, from my perspective, I think people just need to know how to flex their spaces because Atlanta's becoming a big gig economy where people are doing multiple things. You don't just have to have your 9 to 5 and then go home. Your home could be a part of your business too.
And see that, and that's on a whole different path of how does this new entrepreneur look?
Oh yeah,
because it's just not like it was before, and I did not know that. This is all news to me. Which is
what's that
about? You can rent your
oh yeah, 100%.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So speaking of the new entrepreneur, it's interesting what I'm seeing now. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs. I was telling someone about a young lady that I met, 27 years old, making 6 figures, owns 4 sneaker stores, 2 in Atlanta, 2 in Tampa. And I just really got a chance to see and hear her story. She has tattoos, she is not your typical, and she told me that people have not giving her opportunities based on her look. But she still persists, drives forward, and leads with her mind and her education status and moves the needle. She recently was partnered with Adidas and Nike for about 2 years with painted sneakers. So maybe we'll have her on to talk about it.
That's an interesting part because the millionaire today doesn't look like the millionaire of
That's
yesterday.
basically what I'm saying. Growing up, a millionaire to me was a guy in a suit sitting in an office.
I'm telling you.
Last week, I'm meeting millionaires that are wearing jeans and a t-shirt that say CEO.
Exactly. And they don't care. They don't care. And they just, I'm telling you, they're a whole different breed, and it's just changing. A lot of people don't go to college now. A lot of people do not go, don't choose the path of, I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to go to medical school, I'm going to go to get my MBA. These new millennial hustlers are out there making their own way. I'm a web content design, everything from TikTok to advertising. And they can do well. They can do very well with that. And we as a society, particularly older, we have a very conservative, antiquated mentality on what the new millionaire should look like. And if we aren't careful, we're gonna get left behind. So I'm hopping on everybody's bandwagon who's 20 to 25. I'm partnering with them because you're going to need an attorney some kind of way. You may not go to law school, but I got my law degree.
You got your law degree.
I'm figuring it out for you. Yeah. So, we can't look down on our young people just because they look different, they talk different, they think different. And people don't call, they text. They don't leave voicemails anymore. Like the Progressive commercial, the guys like, you're becoming your parents.
Don't be like your parents.
Voicemail, right. I don't leave voicemails. If you leave a voicemail, you're over 50.
People are not checking voicemails.
They don't check voicemails anymore.
Are done data.
They are.
Voicemails done.
They done. So,
unless your voicemail's full, then they'll
right. So we have to get with the time on these new entrepreneurs and get behind them and help them, because at the end of the day, that's who's going to be taking over when we can't anymore, Torrence.
Hey man, I just roll with them. I teach them something, and a lot of times I'm around them. I say, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's new. What do you like? I had a 25-year-old assistant, and I always pulled them into meetings and said, what do you think? Because I don't want to be that cat that's at the table telling people everything I want. So asking is always important.
That's exactly right.
I think there's a few more things I wanted to rack your brain around.
Okay.
And that would be, your take on being an attorney in Atlanta. Like, how is life as an attorney, man? You see it all. What are some do's, don'ts? How can you advise me and others on what to do, how to set things up properly?
Oh God, that's such a loaded question.
It's loaded, but we need it, man.
That's a loaded question. I mean, when you're saying it gives me anxiety to think about how many things are don'ts and how many things are do's that people just don't
pretend you're talking to your daughter or son and just hit them with it.
Well, okay. Well, that's a very good start. That's a good start. Take a minute. Don't overreact. Don't let your emotions take hold of you. Think before you speak. Think before you act, and get a group of friends who are wise in their counsel. Because it's easier to think and plan than it is to undo and unwind something that you've done out of emotion, out of just gonna just try and see what happens without thinking about your exit plan.
Wow,
you gotta get in. And then you gotta get
exit strategy. We talking real estate right now because that's what it sounds like. Exit strategy.
That's always it, right? To kind of figure it out. I mean, financially, keep your credit good. That's always the case. Keep your credit good, and figure out how to keep your credit good, and then figure out smart investments. Like I said, if I had a crystal ball and could have invested in property when I was in college, oh my God, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you in the office. I'd be on my yacht.
Tell me about it. Remind them. Our good friend Rosa told us about a bank giving 4%, Scotia Bank, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Giving 4% interest rates. So there are other ways. There are bonds. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where people are trading bonds right now, or I'm sorry, investing in bonds where they're getting 6 to 8.82% on their money. So there are things that people can do right now to lock money away and just chill and not be scared by the stock market.
Right. You can't
live in fear.
No. I always tell my daughter, act like you're broke every day and you'll never be broke.
I like that, James.
Act like you're broke every day and you'll never be broke.
That's real.
Do not get a spirit of complacency is nowhere to be found in your day-to-day hustle. You're never satisfied, always humble, and always looking to do the next great thing, to build wealth, to build a legacy. When you're not here, what are they gonna say about you? How did you help people?
That's deep. I love that. I think we got 3 more minutes. The conversation keeps coming up to you and I both. I was telling someone I can't even check my mailbox without someone, maybe a neighbor, asking, how's the market? And maybe I haven't seen you. How's it going? How's the market? When the voice gets high, there's something behind it. Or maybe there's concern. And it's like, no, the market's fine. What do you think is going to happen with this market? News is doom and gloom. I think there's just going to be a shift.
Well, I think it's stabilizing now. Yeah. We had an earthquake that the tectonic plates moved, and now everything is settling out. And I think people, got accustomed to the 2.5%.
That was cheap money, man. I got accustomed to it. I just thought it was going to last forever.
Yeah. And they got accustomed to 50 buyers coming by within an hour to look at their home, being offered $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 above asking.
I'm glad that is over. I'm being real. That was stressful.
Yeah. So that's gone. And truth be told, Torrence, 5% interest rate, 6% are not that bad.
No.
I mean, so, like I tell people, you marry the house, you date the interest rate.
Well, what it does is it keeps people at bay from actually overextending themselves. So rates going up just puts people back in a mode of leveling their finances out.
Yes, and
let's call it what it is. It's okay.
And these banks are going to start being, getting to be more creative with their financing. 80/20s, first and seconds. They're going to have things. They're going to have some adjustable rates. And so what happens when you get into those different forms of creative financing? It should cause you to step back and say, hey, okay, if I'm getting into this adjustable, I'm going to have to refinance at some point. Right?
True.
So what does that mean? I got to keep my credit good. I got to keep my stuff.
You got to keep it tight.
I got to keep it tight. I can't go out here and act irresponsible and expect for somebody to come back 3 years later when it's going to adjust 2 points up to give me a loan.
Wow.
So it tames you, it disciplines you, which it should. That's what we should have been doing all along.
To begin with.
Right. Without having to have constraints around it. Well, you got this 80-20 loan, you got this adjustable rate. Well, I'm sorry. That's what's going to happen right now.
No, I've gotten a chance to see two market shifts, and I think we're going to be fine. Like I said, people are going to level set. I think rates will come back down.
They're coming back down, but they're not going to come back down to 2.5.
They're not going back down to 2.5, so we got to let that go and just move back into normalcy.
Right.
So, welcome to the new normal. Now buyers can get what they desire.
Exactly.
You can negotiate again. To me, it's an even playing field.
It is.
And I'm looking forward to the journey.
I am too.
And we're going to do this. So I appreciate everybody listening and checking in with James and I. And James, I appreciate you, man.
No doubt, man.
As always.
No doubt. I appreciate it.
We'll keep it going
here. Yeah.
Come on, let's do this.
I tell you, I got a whole lot more to say too.